Today's video is the highly requested Notion tour. Welcome back to my channel. I've been asked so many times to show you what my Notion looks like, how I organize my life, how I stay productive, and today she is finally delivering. I'm going to give you a rundown of all the pages in my Notion, how I use them to organize my life, and overall my Notion setup. Notion can be a little bit confusing to figure out, so there are loads of YouTube tutorials online showing you how it works and how to design your own templates. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So the first page when you go onto my Notion is the daily page. Just a little background, just like a little cloud background, and I've got a little quote here saying you're gorgeous, have a good day bubs, which is quite cute. And then I have my little morning and night routine. This is just like a basic routine that I try to follow. And then on the right hand side I have things I want to do this week, so like major things I need to do this week. And then usually the night before most days I'll also write a to-do list for the following day under the to do today section. And then this little brain dump, and it's like when I have a thought and I need to do something, I chat somebody to my mom, like little small things. But this is like my brain dump page basically, where I can get everything out and little reminders. And then underneath this is probably the section that I genuinely use the most, which is sort of like an overview of my week. And I consistently fill this out every Sunday, just saying what I'm doing this week. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, so this is like this week and it's quite detailed, and I will like edit this as the week goes on if anything changes or I'm doing anything different or I've forgotten about something. But I love this. This is genuinely what keeps me on track, having like a weekly plan. So I haven't ticked these off, but yesterday was Valentine's Day. Me and my boyfriend went to the gym and we got a Chinese takeaway. It was so good. And then we watched How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which was so good. But yeah, if I have any homework, any exercise I want to do, any tennis matches I have, gym classes, etc., I literally write this all here, or like what I want to do in my freeze. I just figure that out like the Sunday before so I can plan my week. For me, I find having a weekly plan so helpful. Like genuinely, I'd say this is like the plan I use mostly to organize my life, and doing it every Sunday evening maps out your week really nicely. And then moving on to the next page, which is my life page. I've just titled it. It's another cute little quote saying keep going, eh? This is probably when I need some motivation. And then at the top I basically just have like my monthly, yearly calendar. So this is where I put like major things that are happening, and this is for when I make plans like maybe a couple weeks in advance and I want to get them in. And then before I make my weekly plan on a Sunday night, I like check to see what I have in my calendar so I can put that into my weekly plan. This is good for like future as well, if I want to plan something in like a month's time, you know. Below this I have quite a lot of pages here. I also haven't updated this photo of my boyfriend. This is from like over a year ago. Let's go through. We have hair care. I reckon I made this a while ago. This is just like a hair care routine that I have randomly on here. Sometimes when I'm bored I do just love adding pages to my Notion, so some of these might be a bit irrelevant, and again I'll highlight the ones I actually use the most. And then we have a skincare routine. I reckon my skincare routine is very different to what I've put on there before, so I won't click on that. On routines we have an end of week routine and an end of month routine, so things I try to do at the end of each week and the end of each month. Then under the finances section, I'll often use this to see what categories I'm spending the most money in and just double check like I'm not spending crazy amounts and that I'm on track with my financial goals for the year. After school timetable 2025, I reckon I made this at the start of the year when I was feeling in a slump and unmotivated. I needed to make myself a plan to get myself out of a rut. I don't always follow this consistently. I think sometimes when I'm just like in a slump, I need to like think of a plan to like get me out of it. I'm like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm gonna be productive. And then we have monthly essentials. So I think this is just, again, it's probably a page I made when I was bored. Just essentials I like to buy every month or keep up to date with. Wish list. Oh, this is so old. This is sometimes just things I want and I just write it down. If I ever have things I want to write, I just put it in my wish list. And then health and food, I'm guessing you can probably guess this is just like meal ideas. I rarely use this honestly. Most of my meal inspiration comes from Pinterest photos because I'm much more of a visual person. Like I need to see something and be like, oh yeah, I fancy that. And then under school we have future. I think these are all kind of mixed up, but future, what's under future? Okay, I think this is just everything I wanted to do or everything I was doing for my future, like a bit of all the super curriculars and extracurriculars. Universities, well, this was when I was looking into what universities I wanted to apply to, and I was just putting in different website links so I could read about universities before I made the decision. But now I've made the decision, I don't really use this page anymore. I think I need to like clean out my Notion soon and like update it. I'll do that probably before I go uni, you know. University applications, I reckon this can be very similar to future. Oh no, okay, this was more just university stuff. So I'd write down like when the open days were, where I've applied, and just like key dates that I wanted to not miss. Personal statement / CV / enrichment. This is going to be like the same as all the other pages. This is just a list of things that I did at my school from like year 10 onwards that I could potentially put on my personal statement or talk about in an interview. I just wanted to write them all down, so I sort of had like a good list in my head. And also doing that's quite good because then if there was any skills where I didn't have an example to like back up the skill I had, so for like example leadership, I'd go and do something to show that skill. So for example like vice president of medsoc, senior prefect, etc. And then this interesting articles was from BMJ. I just read the BMJ, which is like the British Medical Journal, every week, and then I just write some like interesting articles I'd found, so that if they ask me in an interview like tell me about an interesting interesting article you read over that. As a weekly reader of the VMJ. Yeah, I just want to start my interviews. I'm so glad they're done. I finished my last one on Thursday. And then miscellaneous. This is date ideas. This is actually really cute from me. When I'm bored, I love planning dates. It's one of my favorite things. I genuinely love planning like date ideas. I also just have like present ideas in here as well. And I just all add to this when I'm bored again, or I want to plan a date really nicely. I have this when you're down page. I guess I wrote this again when I was feeling in a rut. A lot of the time when I'm feeling in a rut or in a slump or I'm not being productive, I make a Notion page and I make a plan. I said when you're down, every morning 3 things I'm grateful for, journal each night, say affirmation, etc, etc. Sometimes after I've got myself out of a rut, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do next time, so I'll just write this. It's quite comforting knowing that like I've been in this rut before and I'm fine and I'll get out of it. So I think writing stuff like this just sort of helps. And then we have present ideas. I'm not going to click on this because my boyfriend's birthday is coming up and all his present ideas are on there, but like for all my friends as well, so that when it comes to their birthday I'm not like, how do I get them? If I'm with them throughout the year and they mention anything they really like, I write this down on the present ideas list. When it comes to their birthday, I've got like a list of things that they've mentioned throughout the year, so it's a bit more thoughtful, you know. And then finally we have the journal page. So on here is where I write a lot of my goals. So as you can see at the top, I have all my different goals I've had up here, and then I'm not going to click on any of the journal entries, I'm not gonna lie, because they're all a bit private, but I do journal quite a lot. I'd say like 3 to 4 times a week. I love it, and this is where I write all my little journal entries. And then moving on to the next big page, which is social media. I actually have a whole separate Notion workspace with my management where we have like our campaign tracker, our content calendar, etc. So that's sort of my work one, but one I have on my own personal Notion. Again, another little quote. I think sometimes when I'm feeling a bit down or a bit like, I write myself little quotes, which is a bit cringe. But yeah, this is a little content calendar. My content calendar, the one with my management, is so much more busy. I rarely use my one because usually if I think of a content idea, I just put it on the shared one so my management also know what I'm doing. Besides the calendar, if you scroll down, we just have like, I have my 3 different main social media accounts, YouTube, TikTok and Instagram, and a lot of the time I'll just blur ideas, or if I have inspiration for videos, I will usually put that on there. Random brainstorms. Sometimes I just get really creative, or I'm in like a creative social media mood. Yeah, I reckon that is just another random little page I've made. My Notion is a bit random, but I love my Notion. Then I have dream brands. A lot of the time I'll just write dream brands I hope to work with in future on here. Brands in general, a lot of the time if there's a brand with like quite a complicated brief or they're quite specific with what they want, I will make them their own little separate page and just write out like my own notes to remember when I'm filming or editing. That's quite a dry page, I'm really sorry. A lot of my social media work is done on my other Notion, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share or not, but basically it's just got like a content calendar, like a campaign tracker for all the current campaigns I'm doing, like vision plans, etc. Moving on to my motivation page. I think this is a pretty recent page I've added. So here we have a bunch of different goals, basically my 2025 goals, like mid-year goals, little reflections. I usually add on this page when I want to reflect on the goals I have created for myself at the end of each month, each year. And sometimes again, if I'm feeling a bit of a slump, like the Plan My New Era 2024 page, I don't want to click on it because it's gonna be so cringe. Like I actually don't think I could bring myself to read it to you, but it will be asking myself reflective gratitude journaling questions of what do I want to be like for the second half of this year. And when I'm not feeling, you know, my top tier self or the best version of myself, a lot of the time I will just do a reflection. That is my personal opinion on how self-improvement happens, is reflection, and I find that really helpful through like writing out my thoughts and my emotions. Next up onto the school page, which I really like. This is really good at helping me keep accountable with my schoolwork. Okay, the start of it doesn't look that aesthetic, it's a bit empty, but I have my January mock papers, and on there are just the papers I received back and my grades from my recent mock. I always have my academic school goals. Oh my god, I got all my interviews. Lovely. And I have got an offer from King's. This is so cute, and I did get an A-star AA in my mock. See, I love ticking off goals. So that's a link to my academic goals, and then usually this to-do and priority is a lot more full. It's just currently half term and I got so much of my work done before half term, but usually when I get homework or there's like homework during the next day, that goes in the to-do and priority section. I also use Notion to write all my notes for chemistry and biology, so I'll quickly give you a whistle-stop tour of that. Under my chemistry section, I have the grade boundaries for an A-star and an A. I always have links to my spec and the data sheet, which is like the periodic table, etc. And then I have my physical chemistry and organic chemistry like notes. I genuinely write all my notes on here. So for example, we've just been doing electrochemical cells and physical chemistry, so I write all my notes on here like that, as you can see. I really like Notion to write notes. I find it really a nice format. I love the aesthetic of it. Yeah, this is another organic chemistry, and like a lot of the time you can comment on Notion, like add comments to words. So say I've written a note, but there's like something the teacher said in class that I'm like, oh, I should remember that. I'll write that as a note on the side. Aldehydes, always somewhere at the end of a chain. I mean, that's common knowledge now, but at the time, she was a lost year 12 gal. And then yeah, these are like my notes. I like to highlight, I like to make it bold, I like to make them look pretty. This was when I first started year 12. I put too much effort into actually make my notes look too aesthetic. So for biological molecules, I like each lesson I'd write the learning objectives and I'd colour coordinate all the different things, which was quite cute. But then on each topic I'd have little notes. I just found that a bit too long-winded like now, and like not as time efficient. So this is what your notes could look like if you have more time, but now I just write out the content I need. Back to school, these are a list of the different societies that I try to attend to. MedSoc is the staple 100% every Thursday, and then the other 3 are like variable. These are my 2 chem lab partners. The middle photo is us going dipping in the pond, school pond, for I think fish. I think this is in biology. And then those little pages in the middle are pages I've made that I put too much work in, that I don't want to delete them, but I don't use them anymore. So like for example GCSE work, like when I was doing my subjects, I probably like, I just go overboard on everything. Like, do you know what I mean? I loved Notion and I couldn't bring myself to delete all my GCSE work that I did on Notion. So that's just stored down there. UCAT, bless. UCAT planner. Oh, I'm so glad that's over. When it was UCAT, that was probably full to top of what I was doing each day. Should we find it? Oh, look at this. That's awful. I'm so glad it's done. Senior prefect eco team. So as a senior prefect, one of my roles was to like improve the eco awareness in my school. So that's just a page about that. Personal statement advice and revision techniques. That's just me like sweating out being unique and like writing little notes on it, but I don't really look at it too much. This is another sort of calendar I find really useful. So this is like a timetable book for schoolwork only. So as you can see, I just have my mocks and they went pretty well. But yeah, this is homework I need to do. So I missed 2 days of school because I had interviews on Wednesday and Thursday. So I need to do catch up for maths mainly. I caught up on everything else but maths, and it's integration, the lessons that I missed. So it's literally the hardest part of the course, but just getting there. And then at the bottom, I have again a bunch of other pages that I don't use anymore, but I couldn't bring myself to delete. So for example, like April mocks, I put so much work into them, and I did like all my topic lists, and I just write stuff, and I don't want to delete it, so it's just there. Moving on to the next page, which is YouTube video plans. This used to be under my social media toggle, but I just got on this so much that I just thought I'd just make it its own page. So here I have video ideas, basically videos I've done, and every time I just get like an idea for a video, I just slap it on here. And then if I'm like, oh, what do I film? I have no ideas. We've got a list here. This Notion tour I actually should move to doing. Currently doing that right now. These medicine videos and like how I revise videos I'm planning to film after I've done my A-levels. So I have a bit more credibility when I get my exam results rather than just, you know, a random gal telling you how to revise. Guys, I'm gonna archive this page. The amount of flipping work I did for my medicine interviews, you don't even understand. This is the last page, so if you really don't care about this, then you can just skip to the end of the video, honestly. But for my medicine interviews, I had like my Y medicine toggles. Under each Y UCL, Y Imperial, Y Bristol, etc., I would research the university course, university location, any recent news or articles or research that the university have produced in medicine, etc. And then I had some like common questions. I don't know why I've got 3, why doctor and not nurses. AI specific, I had written about AI in my personal statements. I wanted to make sure I was like very top tip about anything they could ask me about AI. Like I didn't want to be caught out. I wrote about some case studies. Oh mate, the amount of ethics I did. So each of these toggles like had so much information on all of them. And I'd write like my for and against arguments, like any current laws, etc. And as you can see, I also like comment on the side. I did so many NHS hot topics, and maybe they asked me like 4 out of all my 4 interviews. But I mean, it was worth it. It was pretty interesting to do anyway. So I'd write about all the junior doctor strikes, whistleblowing, I talked about quite a lot to be fair, aging population, like having statistics I could just recall from my head, like anything interesting. Honestly, I did so much research. And then under here, this page was a bit messy because my interview time, I was a bit messy. This was data interpretation stations. I just wrote some notes on the different domains of the good medical practice, which I'm so glad I researched because I brought that up in one of my interviews quite heavily. These were some random phrases that I went to this like medicine workshop and this girl said it. I was like, that sounds so good. So I just wrote them down. I would do ChatGPT interviews and write on the model answers. And then these were all like the different hot topics I like made a tick list. Honestly, this page is messy, but I'm gonna go archive this and put this into school and move this to another one on the bottom. I can forget about that one. But yeah, that is an overall Notion tour. The main pages I really use are the daily ones where I have my to-do this week, my to-do today, and my weekly plan. My life ones where I have the monthly calendar. My social media ones and my school timetable I use quite a lot. And honestly, Notion has genuinely saved me. This isn't sponsored by the way either. I love Notion so much. I feel like it just works with my brain. Like it's just so clean. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm sorry, I hope it wasn't too long. I was trying to not waffle, but certainly waffled. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an amazing week and I'll see you all next week.